This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Pursue Fitness Sportswear, and I'm glad to be joined by for the first time Tony Sims. Tony, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
It's good to hear. Obviously, we've come down today for Joe Cordina's open workout ahead of his British title defence against Gwynne next weekend. How's Joe been looking in camp?
Yeah, he's done really well in camp. He's had a good camp, 12 weeks, and yeah, he's firing on all cylinders. He's ready to go next Saturday.
Joe, obviously with a decorated amateur background, when he came to yourself, there was always going to be a lot of expectation on him. How have you found working with him and trying to manage that expectation?
Yeah, he's a good guy to work with. He's easy to work with, and he's a very, very talented fighter, really talented, and he's developed quickly from the amateur style into the pro style. You know, he had a great, as you say, had a great amateur career, 180 odd fights. Won a gold medal at the Europeans, so he was a top amateur, and you know, GB and Rob McCracken done a great job with him there, and he's developed into a really good pro down here now. You know, winning the Commonwealth title in his 8th fight and winning the British title in his 9th fight. You know, he's not even in double figures as a pro, so it just shows you the talent that he is.
And he's back next weekend against Gwynne. How do you see their styles clashing or gelling, and how do you see the fight progressing?
Gwynne, you know, he's a good opponent. He's unbeaten. You know, he's a strong kid. I watched him, you know, and he deserves his chance. He won his final eliminator, so you know, he deserves to be in there for the British title. But I just think Joe Cordina should be levels above him, really, and I think it'll show on the night.
I know Joe's obviously got those ambitions to eventually fight for world titles, and he is in a very competitive division. How long can you see him defending his British title for? When do you see him vacating to move on?
Don't know really, that's a good question. It just depends on what Eddie Earn wants to do with him, really. Obviously you can only take one fight at a time. You know, he's only his 10th pro fight, but he's a very, very talented fighter. So, you know, once this fight's finished, then we'll look forward to the next fight and see what develops from there, what Eddie Earn wants to do with him, really.
Now, before we do come on to the rest of the guys, Joe is fighting on the Lomachenko-Campbell undercard, lightweight world title unification, or not unification, but 3 world titles on the line. Your thoughts on that fight?
Oh, like Luke Campbell's a very good fighter. I've known Luke since he's turned professional, and he's an excellent fighter, Olympic gold medalist, and you know, he's got every chance in the world to beat Lomachenko. Do I think he will beat him on the night? No, I don't think he will beat him. I think Lomachenko is a special fighter. You know, I think he's coming over into the UK to show the world, not just America, what he's all about. And you know, I think Campbell will cause him problems though throughout the fight, but I think Lomachenko will get on top of him eventually.
And just to move back to the rest of your gym, Ted Cheeseman's bout with Scott Fitzgerald has been announced now. Again, your thoughts on it? How do you see them guys clashing or gelling on the night?
Yeah, it's an excellent fight, you know, an all-domestic British fight. As we know, Cheeseman's had his problems in the past. He had a great fight last time out with Kieran Conway, who I think is an excellent fighter. I thought he won that fight by 2 or 3 rounds, but you know, Ted's got to move on to this fight. Scott Fitzgerald's a brilliant fighter, Commonwealth Games gold medalist. Watched him through the amateurs, you know, and he's a really, really good fighter. And this is going to be a great fight. It's a 50-50 fight.
Ted obviously having that defeat to Sergio Garcia, then he comes back and he draws with Kieran Conway. How has he been in terms of a motivational sense? Has he kind of not necessarily lost love with the sport, but has he kind of found himself struggling to motivate himself?
No, Ted never struggles to motivate himself. You know, he's got great belief in himself. He's only a young fella, he's 24 years old, he's a young kid. You know, the Garcia fight was a step too soon. He was better than Ted in every department, and it showed on the night. But you know, the last fight, I believed he won that fight, and I believe he's improving all the time. And you know, he'll go into this fight as an underdog against Scott Fitzgerald because of Scott's excellent win over Anthony Fowler last time. And I think it's a true 50-50 fight, and whoever gets their tactics right on the night, and you know, Ted will definitely be in shape for the fight. So we'll see what happens on the night.
And I spoke to John Ryder earlier, and he said that he's agreed terms on his side to fight Chris Eubank Jr. How did that opportunity come about?
Well, John's in there with the big fights with Eubank, Billy Joe and Callum Smith at the minute, so they're sort of all banding around them names about, so whoever one of them fights comes off, then John will be ready to go into it, do you know what I mean? But nothing's been done or finished or finalised with any one of them names, but I'm hoping that he's going to get a shot at one of them.
How much longer do you think John could wait until he gets the opportunity to fight Callum Smith? Is there maybe a timescale you guys have on it with regards to making good on the number one position with the WBA?
Yeah, I don't know the timescale for when the WBA actually mandates John. If they do, they got different sort of rules than other organisations, so he's just got to sit tight. He's in a good position. He's WBA interim champion, and I like the Billy Joe Saunders fight or the Chris Eubank fight, either one of them fights. So we'll just see what comes John's way, really.
And just a couple other fights away from your gym, just wanted to touch on Ruiz Joshua 2 taking place out in Saudi Arabia. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we don't know what was behind that last defeat with Joshua. You don't know whether he had problems in his training or problems in his personal life. We don't know that, and only he knows that. But I'm sure he knows what he's doing in this fight. If it was me personally, I'd rather have seen him had a couple of fights in the interim now and then build up back into this fight. But Anthony's always got great belief in himself. He's got a great trainer in Rob McCracken who knows what he's doing. So they'll know what they're doing with this fight.
What are your thoughts with regards to it taking place out in Saudi Arabia?
Don't really matter where it is, really. A boxing ring's a boxing ring. If the money's there, then you've got to go wherever. So it don't really matter. Was
you disappointed it wasn't in the UK?
Not really. Got no opinion on it at all, really. Wherever he wants to go and fight, it's up to him. You know what I mean?
And finally, this weekend in Russia, Anthony Yarde will challenge Sergey Kovalev for the WBO World Light Heavyweight title. How do you see that fight going?
Anthony Yarde's a good fighter, a good young fighter. He's obviously unbeaten in his career, but I think Kovalev's been a great amateur, very experienced professional, and I just think Yarde, it's too soon for Yarde to fight someone like this. He's not really built up into the fight with the opponent wise. He's not stepped into world level yet, and I just think he'll be a step too far for him. That's what I believe. But he's always in with a chance. He can punch, that's for sure. And you never know in this game. You've just got to take your opportunities when they arise.
Well, Tony Sims, I appreciate your time. So thanks for speaking to myself and Boxing Social.
No problem. Thank you very much.